Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the ninth lecture on Raymond Williams' modern tragedy. He discusses the destruction of the hero. What he actually implies is that tragedy brings about the death of the hero, but the tragedy itself does not end. This is the central thesis of this section. Now let me read what I have written. Tragedy usually ends with the death of the hero, but the question arises if it brings about the end of the tragic action itself. Raymond Williams is of the opinion that it does not end the tragedy itself. Far from this, it continues in one form or the other. By the remaining forces in the play. With the death of Hamlet, his uncle and mother, the life in Denmark, it is suggested, continues. Hamlet assigns the responsibility to Horatio to inform the public about the innocence of Hamlet in the tragedy of the estate of Denmark. To this extent, Raymond Williams is right, but the main architects of the estate of Denmark have lost their life, followed by their descendants. Such endings are real as mere valedictory. The important action has ended. It is acknowledged even by Raymond Williams. The death of the hero should not therefore be viewed as the end of life itself. The struggle of life continues even after the demise of the tragic hero. In other words, this is suggestive of the continuation of life as long as this world exists. The death of the tragic hero should not be taken as individual phenomenon. It is rather a continuation of the eternal truth. That is, nothing in this world has come to stay permanently. Everything, including the life itself, is changeable and subject to death. Now we are approaching the last section of this modern tragedy, and this has been titled An Irreparable Action. Human death assumes the deepest meanings to a culture. In some culture, death evokes sorrow and grief, while in other culture it is seen as the main source of values of life. Death is then absolute. Suffering and disorder are therefore viewed as inescapable. Such interpretation is usually described as the tragic sense of life. Tragedy has often been identified with death, but the relationship between tragedy and death is as variable as the response to death. Man dies in so many different ways: in the presence of family, by machine, and in sleep. It cannot always be interpreted as the loneliness of man facing blind fate. Death also implies a change in the lives and relationships of others. Tragic death does not imply the death of the past, but the present one. The most important implication of tragic death is the connection with others. So with this we come to the end of the theoretical discussion about modern tragedy which Raymond Williams has given.